Hey everybody, it's JJ Talks and it's Tuesday on the Breakfast Club. So, what I'm about to talk about, I have a solid opinion on, I guess, but I don't really have a resolution to the problem I'm about to present to you, which is statistics. So, in the past few years, especially on the internet and the dialogue that we have, statistics have become a very big pawn in politic and social issue discussion. Which makes sense because it's a way to quantifiably discuss and demonstrably lay out problems that do or do not exist. However, if you know anything about statistics, you know that, tons of statistical studies can be combated with other statistical studies, and, there's always human error involved, there's always biases, and you can't really ever get 100% accurate, comprehensive picture of what's going on. But people do tend to love them because they tend to, I guess, prove whether someone is right or wrong. Now, that's kind of debatable since unless your sample size is the entirety of the globe, then you can't really get an accurate depiction of what is going on. But the other day I was talking to one of my friends and we were talking about gun control. We were having a little back and forth about gun control, which is one of the biggest discussions that involves statistics. And she said to me, when I was talking about some of the self-defense statistics, she was saying, well, these statistics don't take into consideration the crimes that are deterred because the person perpetrating the crime knows that the gun is there. So it's like the knowledge that the person, like, for example, if I'm about to break into a house and I know they have a gun, I'm probably not going to. And technically that gun was used in self-defense because the crime didn't happen because the gun was there. However, you're not going to be able to have a whole statistical study on this. I mean, maybe if someone could find a way to do that, that'd be interesting. But you're not going to know because the crime didn't happen. And you won't know who the criminal is or what's going on in their mind. And you can't really know people's motivation behind things. You have to trust that they're being honest. And honestly, if they're trying to break into my house, I won't trust them on being honest. So she presented that. Hi, how are you? I'm making a video for the Breakfast Club.
Keep going.
No, you can't be in here while I film.
Camera bomber.
Go away. So, leave. I was on a roll and you messed me up.
Okay.
Thank you.
There's a blooper for you.
Okay. Anyway, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I totally agree with your point. However, it's interesting that you mentioned that because that is the entirety of the problem that exists, in my opinion, with discussions involving feminism and women's issues and racial issues and other social issues, is that a lot of the problems that exist lie in people's attitudes and the way that they think about women or minorities, etc. And that's not something you're ever going to get an honest answer on from anyone. You're not going to be able to quantifiably measure like how many racist or sexist people exist or people's attitudes towards women. And also, when it comes to things like, not hiring someone because they're black, for example, obviously no employer is ever going to tell you, yep, didn't hire them because they were black. But the employer could give any reason that they wanted for not hiring them. No one's ever going to admit to that. Well, some people might, if you work for like the KKK maybe. But no one's ever going to admit that. There are certain things that statistics cannot explain or capture accurately because they lie in what's going on inside people's minds, which people obviously lie about. They're not yes or no facts that can be seen by an observer. Now, certain racist or sexist people may exhibit very obvious behaviors that can be interpreted as racist or sexist, but who's to decide where the line is, right? That decides that kind of behavior and how do we know that the people we're around all the time aren't actually thinking those things? It's just a really complicated problem, and I find myself being frustrated all the time because I'm like, someone's like, well, show me statistics on this, because statistics is apparently the end all be all of, proof. um, and I'm like, well, you've got me stuck here because there aren't statistics on this. No one could conduct a study that like comprehensively analyzes, you know rape cases and the accuracy of rape accusations and how many are false and how many are not false and how often it happens. um, you just It's impossible, and so frustrating that I feel like a lot of people know it's impossible, and that's why they ask you for that, because they know you can't give it to them. And so it was interesting to me when my friend, who is an anti-feminist, brought up like the whole, well, you can't have statistics to know someone like that someone is deterred from committing a crime because they know a gun is there. Like, you're not going to be able to create whatever, a study on this, because you can't be in their minds. Like, that's exactly what I'm frustrated about, because there are so many things that I think are a problem that have the same situation where they can't have statistics taken on them, because it's just the entire thing would be more qualitative rather than quantitative. Um, and yeah, it's just a problem. I don't know how to fix it, because obviously statistics are important. I really like statistics, especially as a form of proof. However, there are certain situations you have to acknowledge in which it's just not going to work. And I don't know. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that, other Breakfast Clubbers or people in the comment section. Also, thank you guys for your comments and responses to my selfishness versus selflessness video. I will love you all, and I will see you again next week.